Good evening, everybody. Mike's hot. Welcome to the Select Board, Monday, January 22nd, 2024, McCoy Meeting Room, Mashpee Town Hall, 16 Great Neck Road North, Mashpee, Mass. 02649. Broadcast live on the local cable channel 8. Stream live on the Town of Mashpee website. It is now 6:31. I would like to convene the meeting in open session. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a moment of silence and special thought out to a couple of Navy SEALs that lost their lives. Thank you. We have the minutes, discussion and approval of the following minutes, Monday, January 8th, 2024.
So move.
Second?
All right, I have a motion, and I have a second. Any discussion? Not having any? Start up, Michaela?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Thank you. All right, first up, a 6:35 public hearing, application of Dune Brothers LLC, doing business as Dune Brothers, 2 North Street, space 28A 101, Mashpee, Mass. 02649. Nicholas Gillespie, manager for the new at 12 annual all alcoholic beverage restaurant license.
Want me to read the public?
Carol, please.
Pursuant to the Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 138, subsection 16A, the Select Board, acting as the local licensing authority for the town of Mashpee, will conduct a public hearing on the application of Dune Brothers LLC, doing business as Dune Brothers, 2 North Street, space 28A 101, Mashpee, Mass. 02649. Nicholas Gillespie, manager for the new sub-12th annual all alcoholic beverage restaurant license. The premises is described as 1,152 square feet, 1 floor located within the Mashpee Commons shopping area. The interior includes 8 bar seats, 20 table seats, and 5 window seats for outdoor dining, 34 seats for outdoor dining, 2 bathrooms, kitchen, walk-in cooler, 2 entrances and 2 exits. Said hearing will be held Monday, January 22nd at 6:35 in the Warpoint Meeting Room at Mashpee Town Hall, 16 Great Neck Road North, Mashpee, Mass. Per order of the Board of Selectmen. Good evening.
Good evening.
Carol?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Attorney Christopher Corain, representing Dune Brothers LLC. With me tonight is Nicholas Gillespie. He is the owner and applicant of Dune Brothers. Before you, as the public hearing notice states, we are seeking an all alcohol pouring license for a new restaurant located at 2 North Street, space 28A. .101. This is the old Color Me Mine building that's been vacated. So it's right at the corner, kind of across the street from the CVS and the Asia Garden. So right at that corner there. So we are before the board. This is going to be a new restaurant. It's a raw bar type concept, so something different from what's located in Mashpee Commons right now. When we come before this board for a license, the threshold questions for this board are, is the applicant qualified, and is there a need? And I would certainly say that Nick is more than qualified. He's owned a restaurant in Providence since 2017, so he is certainly familiar with the responsibility of having alcohol being served on premises. Although Nick is currently in Providence, he did grow up in Falmouth, so he does have local ties to the area. And again, he's been operating the restaurant that he owns in Providence since 2017. All of his servers will be tip certified, as is required by the state. He's familiar with that process because that process is the same as in Rhode Island. So, and then, so in that sense, I think that Nick is more than well qualified to, be the holder of a license for this restaurant. And, as far as need is concerned, the town is set up that there's an unlimited amount of restaurant licenses in town. Mashpee Commons is certainly a desirable area for multiple restaurants. I don't think Mashpee Commons would have entered into a lease for Mashpee Commons for this particular space if they didn't think that there was a need for it. And again, it's different from what's there already. So, I do think that it's a benefit to Mashpee Commons and certainly to the town in general for another, spot for people to go visit. So, the public hearing notice, stated the number of seats, the outdoor seating. We're looking at probably a late spring for opening. That's the goal. If the board were to approve the license tonight, we still have to go through the state with the ABCC to get final approval on that end, which can, take a month or so. But the space is still under construction. We do have a building permit, so they're still going through that process. But, the goal is for late spring opening. So with that, I'm happy to open it up to any questions the board may have.
I have one. So you mentioned outdoor seating, I know, so it's probably going to be all reworked. So I'm
Yeah.
wondering, where is that outdoor seating going to be?
Yeah, so
Like-
the outdoor seating will be in the front of the building, and then along the side, there's like a little alleyway corridor there. And
Okay.
then, we're hoping to also have like a parklet like Mashpee had and Commons has had for a couple of the other restaurants there, like Estia and whatnot.
Okay. And thanks for the description of where it's going to be, because I was like, North Street, I'm like, okay, but where?
Right. Yes.
So,
But you still have to go through the fire department's approval and all the other permits too before we get to, this is just the liquor
Yes,
license.
this is only the liquor license. So yes, they'll have to have building sign off,
Right.
fire department sign offs,
Yeah.
ABCC final sign off. So
Right.
yes, this isn't the end of the road. It's
That's
just
right. It's
kind of
just
the
the
beginning.
Okay.
David, do you have any? Oh, I'm sorry, Rodney?
Just looking at it, so you have two drawings. The drawings were kind of a little difficult to understand where they didn't have anything on there to reference like what we're looking at. A locus map, little call out would have been helpful. Thank you for the explanation of the color me mind looking at it on GPS. But, so there's two in our packet. We have the SK1 and they're both SK1, but one shows the outdoor seating, the other one doesn't. So I assume that's both,
Yeah.
like summer and winter.
Yes. Yeah, so it's the same drawing. One has the outdoor seating and one doesn't have the outdoor seating for the winter.
Okay. So with the curb cut and the handicap ramp over there, is that going to encroach at all on the outdoor seating, or is that factored in?
Yeah, so
I see the space there.
yeah, so the space is left there. Mashpee Commons grades this out, so it's all graded properly and in the way that it's supposed to be. But yeah, that's the idea for the seating, and that wouldn't affect the curb and handicap access.
Only because, the way it's depicted on there and looking at the aerial image, that transition from the curb and the sidewalk is at an angle to allow for the ramp, the transition. And so I'd be a little nervous about people getting up from the table after a few drinks or whatever.
Yep.
Kind of losing footing would be one concern. That's all I had.
And
I'm sorry, you want to go back?
either,
Mr. Collins, and we'll come back.
that's
If
fine.
you don't mind.
I was just wondering if there's going to be any local management on site?
Local
or-
management? Yes. Leah Gillespie, my sister, she's the general manager. She's going to be there. She lives in town. We both grew up in Wacoit. I have strong ties to here, so a lot of people will be local.
Thank you.
My question's answered. Thank you.
Tom?
I'm fine. It sounds like a great idea. Competition's good. No issues, another good restaurant for certain.
Thanks. Yeah, we like What we do is just if I could explain a little bit about the restaurant so you guys
Yeah,
know.
please.
Yeah, so we specialize in working with small boat fishermen and small boat fish houses. So right now in Rhode Island, everything that we serve on our restaurant is caught in Rhode Island, and we work with Rhode Island Seafood Collaborative. So right now, we've been working with Cape Cod Seafood Alliance here on the Cape, and everything that we serve here will be caught on Cape Cod, so it's also really good for the local economy. So.
Perfect.
Anybody have any other questions? If you don't mind, see if there's anybody from the public that would like to, anybody from the public want to speak about the new restaurant?
I make a motion to close the public hearing?
Second?
All in favor?
Yes.
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 It's unanimous. Public hearing is closed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I make a
Thank you,
motion
everybody.
to approve the liquor license for the Doom Brothers.
I'll second that motion.
All right, first and second, any discussion?
I guess to address my concern, having planters along the kind of
Along the side of the road.
defined the areas along the handicap ramp access. So we're looking at SK1 with the table outdoor seating.
Yep.
Having barriers that kind of lead to the restaurant or planters or what have you, to define that boundary to kind of control egress and offer some sort of protection between the seating area and the walking area. Would
it
be
okay?
recommended.
I'm sure when
And
the
actually,
fire
I think
department
that's even
goes
the
into
roadway,
it.
I was gonna
right?
say,
You're talking like similar to Estia, correct?
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
because Estia has those.
They
big-
show the planters and kind of, they
Mm-hmm.
serve two purposes along the curb cut. The same kind of thing that define the path from the handicap ramp.
should we just make that to be within compliance with the town of Mashpee regulations?
Well, this is just the liquor
It's in the
license.
commons to
It's
to
in
the
In the
regs.
common- Well, but
I'm not
still,
sure how the commons where it's its own entity.
as a safety item, I would think that it would have to be
Right, it
approved
is,
by
it
the
is.
building commissioners.
Right.
But,
It was
And
just
the fire
make it,
department.
but I think there's going to be a couple different things here in terms of safety, to which you are correct, but you're controlling the liquor.
Liquor, that's it.
So
Oh, okay.
I
That's
would, I would say if you feel that that is connected, to make that conditional.
Yeah, I mean, if it, I'm assuming, I think just the idea that it's a stated concern of ours, I mean, I think this is for the liquor license, but you bring up a good point, because this is not just I believe this is actually
It's
protection
sidewalk.
from cars.
Yes,
So, but I believe Estia was required to put those up.
yes.
So, and that's,
And I would suggest that your approval be conditional upon what was mentioned.
stressing our concern of the barriers or the
Sure.
planters.
That's
Can we
my
add that?
recommendation.
Can we add that to the,
Yes. So moved.
Motion to amend to address the select board's concerns with defining the egress around the handicap ramp.
Second.
Second.
okay, the first and second, again, any more discussion? Not hearing any? Michaela?
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
I'm a yes. Congratulations. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Discussion and approval of the that's all set. Department of Public Works Director Catherine Laurent. Stormwater Management Update.
Good evening, and I am here with our consultant, Gabrielle Belfit from Ty and Bond. We're here to give you an update on our stormwater management program, as well as to talk about our asset management plan, which we are looking to finish within the next month or so, having to do with stormwater.
Catherine, just help me out here. This is, how do we make this look like a slide? Do we make it look like a slide? Is there like a full screen or? Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me tonight. Happy to be here to talk about Mashpee Stormwater Project, which has been ongoing since 2019. We've been working with Catherine in the town to make sure that they're meeting all of EPA's permit requirements. And I'm just here tonight to tell you what they accomplished last year, which was permit year 5, and what's planned for this coming year, permit year 6. This is also an opportunity where we're very happy to have any comments from the public. Having public feedback into the plan is one of the requirements. So I do have a couple of introductory slides here, which may be a little, maybe some people already know this, but just because of the public education component, I think it's important that we're just really understanding what we're talking about with stormwater. This is one of the fastest types of pollution in Massachusetts. And it's really just the rainwater that has fallen on developed areas of the community, the paved streets, lawns, parking lots, which becomes polluted as it runs and travels along these surfaces, and it picks up contaminants that are present, some of them just natural pet waste and leaves, but also man-made components, fertilizer, motor oil, detergents, and trash. And that runoff travels into catch basins, into low-lying areas, and it can pollute the waterways. So under EPA's Small Municipal Separate Storm Sewer Program, this is jointly administered by Mass DEP and EPA. And it includes all of the areas in Mashpee which are considered within the urbanized area. And this.
Just wants me to turn up this mic a little so they can speak into that.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. So the drainage in the urbanized area is the municipally owned and operated system of conveyances, which is the municipal streets, catch basins, curbs, gutters, ditches, man-made channels, or storm drains. It includes country drainage, but what it doesn't include is it doesn't include any of the private roads. So that's an important distinction, that this permit does not cover drainage on those areas. Mashpee is one of 260 municipalities in Massachusetts that's covered under this permit. By virtue of this percent of urbanized area, very rural communities aren't required to be covered under the permit. There's a slide up here which kind of talks about the legislative history of it. The important thing to note is that while the permit has essentially expired in 2022, it's administratively continued by EPA, so the town is required to address each permit component every year until there's a new permit. There is a document called the Stormwater, Mashpee Stormwater Management Program Management Plan that was developed in 2019, and that is on the town's website, the Public Works Stormwater Management Program. And that document states how Mashpee is going to comply with each one of the program requirements. And those program requirements are under public education and outreach, public involvement and participation, developing and implementing an illicit discharge detection and elimination program, developing regulations and enforcing them around construction site runoff control, developing some policies and regulations around managing stormwater for new development and redevelopment, and extensive requirements under good housekeeping and pollution prevention. Mashpee has done an excellent job. And this slide here has the 6 minimum control measurements, as well as their overall compliance on the top. So Mashpee has successfully addressed EPA's permit year requirements. They submit an annual report, and they have never received an audit or comment back from EPA or Mass EP, which means they're doing a good job. So the one additional area which Mashpee has to address has to do with water quality. And this is because Mashpee has water bodies, a number of water bodies that are impaired or have been assigned total maximum daily loads. And that's, I'm sure, terminology that you have heard in the past related to wastewater. So this slide here probably is also not surprising to you. It's a map of the TMDL and impaired water bodies within Mashpee. This slide also is showing in green the town, I think the town-owned roads. I think. Is that the town-owned roads?
Yes.
And the little blue circles there are the outfalls, which are discharging to waterways. So the two, the water bodies that are shown there in red have impairments, and the water bodies that are shown there in yellow have total maximum daily loads assigned to them. So there are additional requirements that the town, that Catherine and the town departments need to do. They need to distribute very specific, focused messages about nutrient pollution. In the fall, they distribute a message about leaf litter. In the spring, they distribute a message about fertilizer. I hope I'm getting these right, I'm remembering them. And in the summer, about management of pest waste. So last year, they reported completion of all of the base annual requirements. Their messaging, providing an opportunity for the public to provide input on their stormwater management plan, identifying any illicit discharges and notifying responsible parties, keeping up with their outfall inventory and ranking outfalls for priorities for retrofits, updating their stormwater system maps, and cleaning their catch basins, sweeping their streets, and inspecting all of their stormwater best management practice structures, such as green infrastructure. The good housekeeping requirements revolve around quarterly inspections, which Catherine is currently in charge of, as well as yearly employee training. A big accomplishment last year was developing a best management practice retrofit inventory report, and this is around those sites that were evaluated as part of a phosphorus source identification analysis, looking at town-owned properties throughout the town, which could be the best place to develop something for removal of phosphorus. Ashumet Pond and Santuit Pond were the targets here. They're the ones which have that impairment for phosphorus. And I believe I have the stats right here. 665 town-owned properties were identified. 76 of those were in the phosphorus impaired Ashumet and Santuit watershed. Only 13 out of those had some existing impervious area, so therefore it would make sense to address them as a retrofit. We identified 4 sites in Ashumet and 41 sites in Santuit. Too bad that Jessica wasn't here to present that. I'm presenting the summary of someone else's work, so I'm sorry for that. The bottom line is, out of this analysis, 5 sites were selected to do conceptual retrofit designs. 3 of those sites are listed up there. Adequan Park for a deep sump catch basin, Quashnet Elementary School for a bioretention basin, the town archives to improve runoff there with sediment forebays. I believe the other 2 were Mashpee DPW for installment of a catch basin, and I'm going to be stumped as to what the 5th one was.
Mashpee Kids Club.
The Mashpee
for-
Kids Club. And
Attention.
so Catherine is going to be moving forward in planning year 6 to fine tune which one of those she would implement, because their obligation is to keep a list of 5 at all time, and then to start implementing them one at a time. And so if Mashpee DPW moves to the top of the list for implementation, one from the inventory comes on as the 5th one as they cross one out. So it's an ongoing list to keep for consideration for restoration. The other activity, which was completed by my colleague Jessica Kachagas, who worked with Catherine, was a grant on the Stormwater Asset Management Program. And this was a great opportunity to provide an influx of funding and information to the stormwater program that we were really happy that that worked out. So I wasn't directly involved in it, but I know they were out in the field. They inspected all of the culverts in town-owned BMPs. They did quite a lot of analysis they're called criticality analysis, to prioritize the culvert by their risk of failure and expense, to come up with the top retrofit locations. So this asset work fed into the previous project. And for planning year 6, it's going to be kind of quiet. We've completed the permit reporting, and we'll be continuing to wrap up the asset management work and tracking nutrient removal from the existing town-owned BMPs, and fine-tuning the schedule for implementation of the 5 priority sites, as well as doing staff training. And I think that is all that I have.
I have a question.
Sure.
On the page where it says the activities completed by 5, retrofit inventory report,
Sure.
the first one is Adequan Park.
Yes.
What is a sump catch basin? Is that a deeper,
Deep sump catch basin.
deep sump? Is that,
Yes, so that is a deep sump. Would you like?
What's deep sump?
So it basically captures any of the contaminants that are in the stormwater, so that doesn't then end up
Back in the water?
in the outflow. So I think, we are moving forward with a lot of our projects now where we're using this design. So you have a solid structure that's going to capture, the nutrients, the sediment, all of that, and then the
Like
clean.
filter it?
And then, nope, it
No,
captures it. And then
does.
when we do our annual catch basin cleaning, we remove that, and that's disposed of in a landfill. But it takes that from the water, and then the cleaner water then goes on in the process for treatment and eventual release or infiltration.
now, is that something that we're doing now to that area? Or is that a project?
So as part of the plan, we had to identify sites to move forward with. We don't have, so these were conceptual designs that were developed, not final designs. We did take credit for, one of the sites, as Gab mentioned, was Santuit Pond. As you know, the town through DNR had a a grant from MVP to look at actually 2 grants to look at Timber Lane, both the stormwater retrofit project that we just completed this past year, and now we've moved on to the town boat landing. So that will be the project that we look at for the next year and a half.
And can you explain the Quashnet Elementary one that you have here?
So again, as part of, and this was our stormwater management team, so that's myself, the DNR director, conservation, health agent, the community development director, and the building inspector, all part of this team. We looked and ranked the different properties, and I guess what we were looking at for criteria is where do we have large expanses of parking lot where, we're not really getting any treatment of that stormwater. Right now, in a lot of these areas, they are just going into leaching catch basins, so we're not getting any treatment of the stormwater. So where would we, get some benefit from implementing some treatment options, as well as looking at sites that might be a little bit more visible, so that we can kind of tie that into some of the public education about, what we're trying to accomplish with our plan.
So I have a few questions, but actually, so I'm just going to wrap off, and if you don't mind. So you have to keep a list of the top, 5 problem sites, and then you'll pluck away. If you start working on one, you'll replace the list with another top 5.
Yes, there's always 5, yes.
Okay. As far as this program, the way you spoke, is it federal, state funds, or is this is all our money? Okay.
We can use this and apply for grants, but as of right now, there's no state or federal money attached to this program at all.
Okay, I guess that's the point where hopefully we can look at doing more of that. And I don't know and what about the expiration of our permit, which was in 2022? Would that affect our ability to write grants to participate?
No. So and this happened with the prior permit. They were written as 5-year permits, but it takes additional time for the state and federal governments to then come up with the new permit requirements. So as Gabrielle mentioned, our permit is still valid. We are not in
Yeah, it's administratively continued. So the permit year, EPA comes out every year and says what the new requirements are for that year.
And it just carried over?
It just carries over. And so they wrote it as with a 10-year compliance. So even though it was a 5-year permit, I think they anticipated it might take us 10 years to get another permit issued. So it has a 10-year window for compliance. And we're in year 6 right now.
One last question. If I got one more question, then I'll. So it was probably time flies and having fun. So it might have been even 2 years ago. I believe we funded about $100,000 to assess runoff from fertilizer neighborhood streets that were, basically going downhill, and you could visibly see torrential rains. And I don't believe on some of these streets that I actually noticed, I don't even believe there was a basin or any catch there, and I believe it was going into Mashpee River. So but at the time, and again, it was probably 2 years ago, I believe you were tasked with assessing, looking at all these locations that could have these issues, because my biggest concern is obviously phosphorus, but fertilizer, these heavy torrential rainstorms we've been having, where is this going? It's almost like just follow the water. When we're having this rainstorms, it's almost like get everybody in DPW to drive around town and watch where all the water's going, because it's seeking lower ground, which is, I'm guessing, into our water.
Right. So that's, I think, a big part of the education that we need to work on. So the $100,000, that was the town's required match, and then it's because it's a reimbursement program, the initial funding for the asset management plan. So that was the article that you're referencing. So that's the inventory that has been completed. We're finalizing that report. So yes and no. So some of that information will come out of that report, but as you all know, we've had significant rain events this last year, and I don't think it's going to get any less in the coming years. A lot of the runoff that you've witnessed, and I see it too, is coming from private properties. So it's now, becoming an issue for the town, because not only are we trying to design, drainage infrastructure that's going to address the runoff from the road itself, we're getting the runoff from everyone around us. And I know I drive through neighborhoods and I see their, downspouts and gutters going to their paved driveway, and it's a river coming down, driveway into the town road. So yes, the town is working to address those, but we really need the public and the private citizens and businesses to take some responsibility for, helping to contain the runoff on their own property. We just do not have the resources. We don't have the land area to be able to capture and treat all of the runoff that we are accepting on the town roads.
Yeah, so one last comment, and again, I commend you for all your efforts. By no means is it like, trust me, you're tasked with you're always going to be running uphill on that, trying to chase, solving all these problems. Mr. Collins, did you have something?
The only thing I just wanted to point out, Mr. Chair, is obviously with this type of information, it doesn't mean that it isn't potentially going to be Exhibit A, B, or C if we were seeking any grants. This is all good information to have.
Okay, thank you. And this is all good information to have. Thank you very much. I had a question, I have several questions. The first one is, I'm just not clear, and I might not have heard you, Catherine. I'm looking at the page where Adequan Park, Deep Sump Basin is, Quashnet is. Those are the three. What are the other two?
The other two were the DPW facility, and the fifth one was the Kids Club location.
Okay. Are there any others on Mashpee Wakeby that were identified?
So on Mashpee Wakeby itself, no. I mean, we're looking at, I guess, opportunities on town-owned property. So there is some limitation. I know one of the ponds is a Shumet Pond, except there's no town property that abuts a Shumet Pond, so there really isn't much that we're able to implement that would have an impact on a Shumet Pond. On Santuit Pond, some of the areas that we were looking at were like the islands and the cul-de-sacs, so that we felt was something that, we aren't saying that those aren't important to look at, but those are something that, we can do, I think, on a smaller project level rather than these bigger ones with the large parking areas.
In looking at this, does having these conceptual retrofit designs, does that better position the town to secure grant funds?
Yes.
Okay. And I just have one more, if I may. And I understand that this is state land, but is there any work with the state to deal with the boat ramp on Mashpee Wakeby?
So yes, there actually has been movement. We've been working, the town has been working with the state and APCC over the last year. They had received a grant, so we actually are finalizing plans for design for the parking lot. The state's working on the ramp separately, but there are plans that are moving forward and construction funding. So permits for that project, I just had an email today. They're looking at filing those in April.
In April? And I don't understand the whole permitting process. So if you file in April, when is the project likely to begin and I move it.
So the April permit is our local conservation commission. So that generally is maybe a 2-month process. I'm not sure that we need any other permits, but don't hold me to that. And then, obviously, it is a site that is used in the summer, so realistically, there wouldn't be any work that would be starting until probably, next fall at the earliest.
Okay, thank you.
Tom?
Thanks. Catherine, I've been thinking about it as we listen, and you're familiar with my neighborhood, so it's always been a concern that some of the catch basins are starting to settle and not catching the amount of water that we would hope it would. And it dumps into the open area at the end of the street. I'm not quite sure who owns that any longer. I did get a phone call from the county governments telling me that they were no longer in charge of that, but I don't know if that's true or not, but that was the director of the program at the time. This is about 1.5 years ago. They don't pay too much attention to it, but I do see what's going on. One of my concerns, though, the biggest concern, is the fact that the Mashpee River has accumulated so much debris and in the water table. The solids are coming up and reducing the amount of water that's going out.
Sure.
Is there any chance, or would it make sense to pursue dredging of the Mashpee River to allow for the water to leave when it has the opportunity? And if we can create a better channel for that.
Right. So the town has started work on that project, but we're actually starting at the headwaters for the Mashpee River. I was just talking to Gabriella earlier, explaining a project that we will be issuing a bid soon for, a request for proposal soon for design, engineering, and permitting that has to do with river restoration of Mashpee River from Mashpee-Wakeby Pond to the culvert at Great Neck Road North. So that section, the town has received funding through NRCS to design a restoration project, look at some of the issues that we have with the channel, with sedimentation from the pond, looking at the historic location of the river and improving that flow in that section. And looking at the culvert at Route 130, the fish ladder. So it's a large project that we will be undertaking the design for soon. And then the town just submitted with APCC and the Wampanoag tribe a grant through NOAA to look at the river from that point to Route 28. So we're starting to look at it in segments.
Right.
Right.
So my thoughts is correct, because there are times when the water table goes down, there's only a few inches between the
Right.
top of the soil and the water that's
Right.
being removed.
Yes.
So, if we could get it down a little bit, get a bigger flush, so I'm glad to hear you're on top of that. Thank you, appreciate that.
I'm good.
David?
A couple questions. The map on, either of the maps on, I guess, page 2, and then the other map on page 6 with all the colors. I was wondering, first question, I guess, is does the EPA Stormwater Management Program take into consideration EJ communities? And
It's based on the area is based on the amount of impervious cover. So it's really just what's been developed. It's not based on anything more than that. They're looking at the areas where runoff occurs. And so it's based on the population of the area, and it's based on the percent of impervious area. And that number, basically the entire town of Mashpee is covered. So that's all that it takes into consideration for that map.
But that is something that, as you probably know, is a factor when the town does apply for grants. Sometimes there is a focus, or you get additional points if you are within an EJ community or an area.
I guess it came to mind because on the map on, I think, page 6, the one that's all colorful, that map for the Mashpee SWMP seems to identify in red the critical areas of concern with, I assume that's water quality. It looks like Ashomet, Mashpee, and Santuit, and Lowell.
Oh, you're talking about the one that says the total
This map,
maximum
yes.
daily load? Yeah, yep, that one, yep, that's exactly correct.
So when identifying areas of critical concern, that's where I didn't know if EJ communities within proximity to those areas elevate kind of areas of critical concern, how that's factored in.
If we apply for grants, so not for identifying the impaired or TMDL waters or for making us subject to the permit, but when we apply for certain grants, that sometimes will prioritize or give an application additional credit for the grant.
Okay. Yeah, some sort of legend with that map would have been helpful.
That's
Because the slide prior, is that correlate, the
No.
color coding on that?
No,
Or not at all?
I apologize. Yeah, a legend would have been good. We sometimes take some shortcuts when we make PowerPoints. So I was like, are those greens? I believe those are the
Those are
town-owned
town roads,
roads.
yes.
And I knew the blue were outfall. I knew the red was the impaired waterways for phosphorus. And I knew the yellow is TMDLs, and that is for both nitrogen and bacteria. So I knew a few things to tell you.
Yeah, I guess I only raised that question, the questions around EJ communities, because, I have issues with the way they determine environmental justice communities. They weigh heavily on the population and economic median income of communities and minority populations, and it totally takes away from the actual environmental considerations. But the base is in its entirety an EJ community, and also tribal communities are designated on the national level as environmental justice communities. So any tribal properties are also environmental justice communities for grant considerations. If it'll help the water quality is the reason why I bring that up. There was one statement that, there's concerns with private runoff contributing to our wastewater management concerns. And I was wondering if there was a recommendation of the DPW for any kind of local regulatory reform that would help address that, based on your information and findings.
So that is something I just recently reached out to town council, just because this is becoming more and more of an issue. So I don't know if Gabrielle has experience in other communities, but it is something that we are looking at, how we can require private properties to manage their own stormwater.
Yeah, you can have a regulation that prohibits discharge of runoff from private property
Right.
onto a town-owned road.
Right.
So, and the idea there is that homeowners have options for disconnecting their roof drains by directing them into, like French drains. And they have, options for grading, so there's a lot that a homeowner can do. And sometimes it's lack of awareness. There's also, there's actually the town, through its illicit discharge detection and elimination program, has some of the beginning of that terminology right in there. So they don't want homeowners to be washing leaves off of the driveways onto the roads, which happens more often than you know. It's like, oh, that's a good way to get the leaves off of my property. I'll just use a hose and hose it off. And it's actually illegal. So there's a lot of this is awareness. The town does have a good website with a lot of public education on it, but it's only good when the homeowner comes across it. And it's difficult to always be getting the message out and to keep that level of effort up and keep it fresh. So.
No, Mr.
You
Mayor.
good?
Well, I'll follow. You had a question to this point?
One of you's got to speak.
Well, I just didn't want to interrupt him. What I was going to say, Mr. Chair, and to the board, is we have tried to curb some of these practices like private plows pushing snow into the public ways and things of that nature. And those are the things that we've attempted to curb.
Right. And obviously,
Along with other things.
Through zoning and as we see new developments or redevelopments, we can address it at that point. It's how do you address the runoff from the single-family homes or from the older developments that aren't, coming to the town for any kind of permit.
Right.
And so I guess my follow-up question would be, like, if you were to have some sort of localized regulatory reforms, how would that affect existing properties opposed to new developments would have to be compliant, but
Right.
would that effectively address existing properties?
That's really what we need to address. The new properties, because they're coming to the town for permits, we condition their permits that they have to manage their stormwater. It's the properties that have been there that we don't have, I guess, that regulatory teeth right now to force them to do anything.
So is there a solution for some sort of, how do you address, I mean, if you don't have an answer, just
Well,
say
and
we.
so that's what we've reached out to town council about. As Gabrielle mentioned, it might be, coming forward with a recommendation for a general bylaw that makes it illegal to discharge stormwater to the town's roads or properties. But then it's going to be what's the enforcement of that.
But if the town had a comprehensive, broad stroke, plan that required it of all properties throughout the town, isn't there stormwater mitigation funding that comes from Cape Cod Commission annually that maybe could offer some relief to existing property owners through some sort of mechanism to help people put in kind of detention basins in critical areas, or where there's a significant.
That I'm
forest
not
warranted?
certain on the specifics of, but certainly willing to investigate it and follow up and take the appropriate action.
It's actually good timing to be bringing this question up. The town recently went through an exercise of looking at all of their regulations around two areas. One of them was parking requirements, road design requirements, and green infrastructure to see were there any barriers right now to implementation. So they did a review of all of their bylaws and all of their regulations with recommendations of how to make some changes and improvements. And so that's in the works, right?
Yes.
So that might be something to add.
All right, everybody good with wastewater? Oh, not wastewater,
Well,
stormwater.
the last one that I had was over in front of the DPW, there's that depression between the road, Meeting House Road and the building.
Yes.
That seems to have a lot of silt down there and everything. Is that an area that is going to be addressed or something? One, it looks like it needs just some cleaning. Two, like, is there something that's going to alleviate, because just on the other side of the road, it goes straight down to the river. So that's kind of an area of concern. Where's as far as the DPW property and all the stormwater controls within that property, how is that fair in and what kind of findings are associated with that
Sure.
particular property?
So that specific area was not something that we looked at as part of this conceptual design. In the conceptual design, what we were looking at was really the rear of the property where we have all of our parking of our vehicles, where we wash our vehicles, and then where the fuel depot is. So that was the area that we were kind of focusing, because right now, all that we have for stormwater infrastructure are leach and catch basins. So you have all of that pavement with the vehicles that are parked on the pavement and our wash activity that's just going into leach and catch basins.
Ouch.
I know that spot, though, and I was like, that's a really good depression. What could we do with that? You know, so that is a good observation.
Right. I mean, we will certainly look at it and do some cleanup, but in terms of, I guess, utilizing it, it may not, just because of its location, it may not
I mean,
be the
you
best
could-
location, but.
You could clean it up, and you could vegetate it, and you could use it as a recharge basin.
Right.
I mean, if you put permeable barriers down there to kind of have layers, couldn't you filter out at least some of the, it's got to be cleaner than what, if you were to do a layering system,
Right.
better than what's there now, right?
Right. It's just the challenge is that location and where
So close.
where the activity is, but
Gotcha.
no, we'll take a look at it.
All right.
Before we finish this subject completely, I did just want to take the opportunity to bring to your attention, as well as to the public's, that we do have a public meeting next Monday. It is a remote meeting, so I'll hand out the flyers, but it is posted on our website. It's a project that we participated with the Cape Cod Commission, looking at, it was an MVP grant looking at low-lying roads. Two of the outfall locations are the two locations that we are looking at. So, like I said, I'll hand out before I
Are
leave.
you on the map there?
Yes. One of them is on Great Oak Road at Jehu Pond. So the blue dot that's right around, kind of maybe a little bit south of where that Great Neck.
Here?
Nope, the next one.
This?
To the right. Down.
This.
Yeah, it might actually, in that general area. And then the other one is on Monomoskoy
Monomoskoy.
at Amy Brown Road. And that is that dot, yep.
This one.
I know that is really, and then when we had the high tide, we saw where it came up,
Right.
right there.
So.
The two southernmost outfalls.
Yeah, so like I said, I'll hand out the flyer to the board members. It is on our website. It is a remote meeting, so you can do it from the comfort of your home. But please participate and look at some of the conceptual design and ideas that we worked with the Cape Cod Commission.
For the audience, could you provide the date and time?
It is Monday, January 29th at 6 p.m. And
Thank you, Kathy.
if you go to the website, the link is right there to the meeting.
On your website?
The DPW, or no, it's actually on the public notices, so it's right on the front page.
All right. Thank you both. And Catherine, you're staying on, right?
Yes.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cap.
Mic is hot. Discussion and approval of rescinding the regulatory speed limit of Quiniquisette Ave.
Boy, this took a while to get done, huh? To reduce.
So as explained in the memo, the speed limit for Quiniquisette Ave, it actually went through the process to become a regulatory speed limit in 1972. So as you all know, development in Mashpee has changed since then, and the speed that was set at that time, which is 45 miles an hour for the majority of the road, is no longer the appropriate speed. So we spoke with the police department, reached out to the state to see what our options were, and they said with your approval, that speed limit could be rescinded And what would happen would then the road would default to the statutory speed limit, which is, as a thickly settled area, 30 miles an hour.
It's amazing the hoops you have to go through
I
to
know.
lower a speed limit
Exactly.
for safety.
And it's strongly recommended that you take this action.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Going to make a lot of people happy.
Well, you're going to give me 20 calls tomorrow if you don't.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, does anybody have any questions or hesitations?
I make a motion to approve the removal of the speed limit established for Quiniquisette by the Special Speed Regulation Number 309A adopted on January 14, 1972. The police department is in agreement with this recommendation.
Second.
All right, we have a first and second. Any discussion? Not hearing any. Michaela?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
David?
Yes,
And I'm a yes.
Thank you so much.
Easy enough.
thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Presentation and update of the status of the construction
Thank you.
of the wastewater treatment facility, GHD in Weston and Sampson.
Good evening. Bear with me a minute. There we go. Good, it worked. Good evening again. I'm Sandy Tripp. I'm with GHD, and to my left is Mike Scipione with Weston and Sampson. And appreciate the opportunity to give you a brief update on what's been going on in town in the last, well, over a year. And then bring you up to date on some recent information we learned. So, as you may recall, back in October 2022, the town awarded 3 construction contracts. 2 of them were for the collection system. Those were contracts 2 and 3. Both of those construction contracts were awarded to Robert B. Our Company, and they have been proceeding on those. The north is contract 2, that's all pipe in the ground, and contract 3 is the south collection system that's pipe in the ground, but it also includes 2 pumping stations. Contract 1, the water resource reclamation facility, that's a treatment facility that's being built near the landfill. That was awarded to Waterline Industries. So all contracts were anticipated to be complete by early December of this year. So, less than a year away is when these are to be done. Our contract time is approximately 60% expended. Contracts 2 and 3 are on schedule. They should be done within this time frame. But we had a hitch in contract 1, the treatment plant. It's encountered supply chain issues due to major electrical equipment. I know I made you a bet I lose. So the water reclamation facility, I would like to focus this presentation on that project and explain what's been going on, okay? So like I said, this job has been under construction for over a year. And in that time, the contractor certainly has been doing a lot of work. They've been putting underground utilities on the plant site. They've been working on buildings, and they've also been getting in equipment. Back last spring, they were starting to place the under slab piping, as well as the conduit feeding the electrical rooms in the summer. So even though the major equipment is delayed, the work to support that equipment is ongoing, hasn't been delayed at all. And we're expecting duct banks, which distribute the electrical power around the plant, to be installed this winter, very soon. There are 2 buildings on site. The first is a process building. This is a larger building. It's got 2 stories, one underground and one above ground. This is a picture of the installation about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So you can see that the building is up. Metal roof is complete, siding's in progress, trim work's going on. In front of that picture, you see some concrete structures with makeshift wooden railings on them. Those are our process tanks. They extend outside of that picture. Those are in the ground and ready to go, as well as other process tanks. The equipment for this building is being placed. It's not really being installed yet, but it's coming in and it's being placed, and plumbing and piping within the building is ongoing. The second of the two buildings is the preliminary treatment building. This is the, as the name implies, this is the first building that the wastewater will see. It's an at-grade structure. The exterior work is nearing completion, as you can see from this photo, and the equipment is actually being installed. The process room in this building is that one room. It looks pretty crowded in there at the moment because of the equipment, hoisting equipment, but those are fine screens and some grit classifiers to just take that raw wastewater and get some of the larger pollutants out of it. So there's a lot of work been going on, and I just appreciate the opportunity to sort of show you what's been going on at that plant site. But I also, another way to look at this is to see, you know, how has the money been spent? So let's start with the collection systems. This is contract 2, the smallest of the 3 jobs. It's a $5 million project. The pink line, which is actually hiding a blue line, is the budget, the extended cash flow for the project, and the white is what they've actually expended. So you can see that they started off strong on this. Remember, the 2 collection systems are being done by the same contractor. They put their effort on this one first. They got well ahead of the game. This is all pipe work. It's pretty much in the ground right now. As we move into the spring, you're going to start to see some pavement, final pavement going in, but they're not working on this project at the moment. The second of the collection systems, this one started slow. You can see that the white is below the expected cash flow because they had their effort on the other job. This is a $9.8 million job. Somewhere about half a year ago or so, they caught up with themselves, started putting their effort over there, just like they planned for the 2 projects, and now they're tracking ahead of schedule. Again, this pipe, although they're still working on Quiniquisette and moving to Orchard Road, most of the pipe is in the ground. They're really working on the pump stations. And then finally, the plant. Now you can see the blue and pink lines. The blue is the original budget, the pink is the adjusted budget, and the white is the expenditures. And this is now tracking a little lower, below anticipated spending. They adjusted their workflow because of the equipment not coming in. So they're about 60% of the time expended and about 45% of the budget, but they are tracking a little bit below. And this is primarily due, like I said, to the delay in equipment. So what I want to do right now is just take a moment to look at the end of the schedule. This is a snapshot. Let's see if I can get a cursor here. Okay. This is a snapshot of the final months of the project. This dark line, that's called the baseline schedule. This is when everything was expected to take place. So your milestones are your substantial completion. This is when the town would take beneficial use of the plant, meaning it's all ready for you to start treating wastewater officially. And that was going to happen at the end of September, early October. And then the last stretch is final pavement. After this, the contractor's going to be out there doing their punch list, checking up all the boxes, making sure that all their paperwork's complete, and they would be done by early December of this year. In order to achieve substantial completion, they have to go through a startup period. Clearwater test is when DEP comes out and checks out that they're happy with the facility. That's a one-day event. And then we follow that up with a 90-day startup period. And the plan was during this time, the town would be notifying the property owners that are going to be served and saying, it's time to hook up. This would take place for a number of them to get on board within this 90-day period. The wastewater starts flowing the plant and we can start treating. We have biological process there. They need food, and the food is the wastewater. So per plan, they would have gone into, after you start it up and you get your biological units going, then you do your performance test, which demonstrates to the town that this facility is ready for the town to take over. And that was to happen around the beginning of October, again, with punch list and closeout at the end of December. But with the MCCs being delayed, by the way, they're being delayed by, we expected a 1-year delivery. That's what we scheduled. The contractor told us it was going to be 10 months, 20 months, over 20 months. So the supplier said, I can't do that. You'll get them here. Contractor's been doing a good job. Town has been doing a good job. I think the engineering team has been doing their job. It's really the supply chain issue. And the contractors work to not throw a 10-month delay or a 20-month delay at you. They've reworked their schedule to move it down to where they would be starting their Clearwater tests this winter as opposed to this spring. So it'll be next winter, about a year from now.
So we're about a year off?
No, you're only 7 months off, 7.5 months off. So instead of starting up, the plan was originally that your customers would be coming online
Right.
in the June, July, August timeframe. Okay? Now it's going to be mid-February to mid-April in the spring.
Assuming there's no more delays.
No more delays.
Right.
Haven't heard of any. But you don't hear about it till you hear about it, right?
Right.
So that means that it's in, and actually, honestly, that's better for your wastewater treatment to be in the warmer weather. That's going to help your startup period. Little silver lining. So your townspeople, the people they're going to be hooking up, they don't need to get ready to hook up this winter. It'll happen in the spring. And then your final payment, you should be done with this job in July of 2025. July. So what does that mean? The plant work may slow down. So if you go out there and you don't see much activity, it's probably because they've done all they can and they're waiting for this equipment to come in. But once that equipment comes in, there's going to be a flurry of activity. There's going to be people. You can't power any of the equipment, so we can't start up anything. You can't even turn on the HVAC unless you run generators out there. But we can't run it through its paces properly without it being wired and powered. So they are planning to do what they can to prepare for when the MCCs are on site. And then our time, the engineer's time, will slow down and speed up in response to that. So we'll be slowing down too, at least with our on-site, rollout there. The collection system, no impact to it. It will be ready to go. And we're taking steps to make sure that equipment that you have that's going to be sitting, waiting for wastewater, will be protected. And your properties, as I said, your property owners will not need to hook up until 2025. I'm happy to field questions.
I got a
This
couple
is Mike,
questions
and-
for you. So, right now, we're looking at it's running about $2 million over budget.
It's not over budget.
So it's not the red. So the original budget is blue,
Yeah.
and what's the red?
The
That's the adjusted budget, which,
You
Says-
have made, the biggest change order you made was at the very beginning of the job where where the town decided to add the process tanks to prepare you for the next phase.
okay,
So you're paying less
So-
for it than you would if you were doing it 2 years from now.
okay. So that actually brings me to my second question. So now you obviously know we're looking at, if the town approves the town meeting, if we go forward with the phase 2, there's also going to be, with that phase 2, some updates to the treatment center to
Correct.
handle that capacity. When, assuming that got approved, would those upgrades
Be impacted?
be impacted, and how quick would those changes to the treatment center be done? And would it make sense to say, whatever is going to be upgraded, don't do it until September, because that upgrade, don't don't install pipe 1 if pipe 1 and 2 have to be, pipe 1 have to be pulled out to replace it with a 2. Do you know what I mean?
I think, let me try it.
Because there is additional upgrades that are going to be to the treatment center.
There's going to be some equipment added. yeah.
Assuming it all passes town meeting. So that being said, would any of those changes or additions have any effect on the construction that's going to be
No.
completed now? It's just a net add and doesn't really
No,
matter?
we're going to be adding equipment as part for Phase 2. Your tanks are going in, your facilities or infrastructure to support the treatment is going in right now. This plant will be up and running before Phase 2 is put out to bid.
Okay, so the additional changes are more, I don't want to say cosmetic, but they're not major, they're not a major additional cost of what is already being done.
Nothing is being pulled, nothing is planned to be pulled out and replaced.
Perfect.
Nothing is planned to be
Again,
pulled
I don't
out and
understand
replaced.
the whole-
We're making some little changes to prepare for what would be there, just instead of putting it here, putting it there, but that's a paper change, right?
Okay,
Yeah, the vast majority of Phase 2 is just additional sewers that will be extending out from the Phase 1 sewer area. And that part of that project will be done, those 2 contracts that are putting the sewers and the pump stations in the ground, they'll be done on schedule too. And as Sandy said, the Phase 2 work at the treatment plant is primarily equipment that's being placed in areas that are being constructed now, and that work won't be ready to go forward until after this is done anyways, based on the funding schedule and based on the SRF program and the DEP loans. state
okay.
loans.
So one final question and then I'll, as far as, we're missing these components, so these we're just, until these components come in, we don't have a start date, if you will.
And
So I get that. Is that when we get the components, is that when we say, I'm thinking about the residents and, it's time to connect? What are we talking about a time frame there that we're giving our citizens to say, hey, we get the components, we have them in hand, now we know, is there a 120 days that, I don't know what that,
Okay, yeah, the schedule that this little piece snapshot was pulled from is pretty extensive, and there's a lot of moving pieces on it. I'd have to go back to that schedule to see what they plan for when they get the MCC in to when they're going to start up. I think if the short answer is if the MCCs come in at or before that date, then we know we're in good shape. If it comes in at that date, whatever it's in the schedule, we're in pretty good shape that we're going to be starting up in the spring. If it comes in early, we might be able to come in earlier if the town wants to do that. Because you're making decisions now based on this information we have for you, which is, how to communicate this with the residents.
yeah, I'm just concerned about the lead time to notify the residents, that's.
And the town is going through some planning now in order to anticipate how that will happen, because there's only so many contractors in town to hook up all the properties too.
Correct.
So the town is going through some planning to, what's the best time to notify, how to keep the residents informed, and how to make sure that people are hooking up at the right time.
Right.
So that you will get the flow and so that they'll all be in compliance with what's required by the town's regulations.
Okay. I'll just
Thank you.
kind of go around.
I have a question about the equipment that's already been installed and the warranty issues with regard to that equipment. Does that warranty start when we start to use those, or are they sitting there under warranty that we're?
Good question.
Are they sitting under warranty now for pieces that we're not able to activate?
And the way the contract is written is that, for the plant job, because this is a 2-year project, the warranty, there's 2 different types of warranty. There's equipment warranty, and the manufacturer has to warrant that equipment from 2 years from delivery or 1 year from substantial completion.
So it gives you 3.
So basically, and the contractor has a 1-year warranty from substantial completion where all of their work is warranted. So you're covered at the plant. For the pump stations, You've got some pumps and some electrical gear there. So we've asked that contract, because they're going to sit idle during your warranty period, we've asked the contractor to tell us what it would take to get an extended warranty. And we've got that information in, and then also give us guidance, have the manufacturer give us guidance on how to keep the pumps and everything operate, so you're not voiding the warranty. So those discussions have been ongoing.
May I? That's another question I have with regard to the pumps. Is that problematic that those pumps are sitting there not being used for this period of time?
As long as we do what the manufacturer says, I think Jared probably could speak to that if you'd like, but yeah, he's getting prepared to deal with them, to operate them, not just let them sit idle.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Tom, any questions?
I do. You think he wants to speak? I'm not
Yeah.
quite certain.
I can give you a quick rundown. So the plan would be is basically we would keep water in the tank. We'd open up 2 valves and close the discharge line and just periodically go out there, whatever the manufacturer requires. Turn on the pumps, let them circulate, shut them down, turn on the other pump, let it circulate, shut it down, walk away, come back 2 weeks later, or whatever they recommend.
Perfect. Thank you.
But you're right, having a piece of equipment sit idle is not good for it.
So I'm a little surprised that they didn't have all of the material available for the installation. The contractor didn't buy all of the materials.
They bought it.
They knew they were going to buy them.
They bought it.
They bought them. They
yeah.
weren't delivered?
Well, they're not, it's a supply chain issue with electrical equipment, and this happens to be the motor control centers, so this is the main brain of the plant. That's the long lead item. We're used to electrical equipment being long lead items, and we have been taught through the pandemic that it's much worse, which is why we incorporated, in addition to the review period where the engineer reviews their shop drawings and makes sure we're getting what we designed for, a 1-year procurement, which was plenty long enough. But this supplier came back after the submittals were already in and said, I can't meet the 1 year. It's going to be, I can't remember if it's 20 or 22 months, but it was double what they planned. They told them 10 months when they signed on, and it became 20.
So you're picking up the tab on that? So you're going to pick up the tab on that?
We?
Yes. Well, why should the town? I mean, we had an agreement with the
we don't expect a
contractor.
tab. We don't expect you to be paying anything.
Oh, we're not going to, okay.
And if it was negatively impacting you, there's something in the contract called liquidated damages. The contractor is missing their time. The town has rights to dollars per day per the contract when they're missing their time, if they cause the delay, which.
And it's not that I'm looking for that, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm excited for the town to move forward and have this system up and running.
Yeah.
So that we can remove the nitrogen and the phosphorus and all of the bad things that go into the ground.
Right.
So yes, I'm looking forward to this. The longer it's delayed, the more harm we're doing to the environment. So I'm a little disappointed overall. And I think that I know that we're all looking for materials and everyone's looking for labor, but at some point, the big boys have the guys that are going to come. When they pick up the phone, there's somebody there to put the work together and the materials. And I'm a general contractor, building homes. I don't buy the 2x6s and the 2x4s in bundles. I take the load, I buy it, and I have it delivered when I need it.
Okay, yeah, this equipment, how much is an MCC? $300,000 or $400,000? They don't have those in the, yeah.
Yeah, they have to be manufactured.
Yeah,
But they have not,
then
nobody's
special.
looking for any additional money associated with this
Well, that's
project.
good. That's
Yeah.
nice to
And
hear
we're
at
all
least.
disappointed
Yeah,
that it's
yeah.
behind
Yes.
schedule.
Right.
because
It'd be nice
everybody's
to
working.
move forward, right?
Everybody wants to have a successful project on time and on budget.
Right.
It's
That's
an
right.
unfortunate
Appreciate it.
delay, but it's not a financial impact on the town.
I'm all set. I'm all set. Thank you for your
David?
presentation.
Oh, thank you.
So that equipment, they're all custom builds?
Yes.
Yes.
Problem.
One question, but they're made in America, right? This is all under the Buy American Act and all that?
No,
No?
the electrical is not.
The electrical's not?
Nope.
No, it's not required?
Yeah, your Buy American is your municipal, basically your municipal castings. So your handrails, your gratings,
Piping and.
pipe, valves, manhole covers, grate covers, even the rebar and the structures, they're all made in this country, yes.
All right. One question I have is, with the tanks already in the ground and where we're experiencing freezing temperatures over sustained periods, is what's preventing water collecting inside and cracking the foundations? Are there precautions being taken for that, to ensure that the foundations aren't cracking?
I'm thinking.
Well, they're open tanks.
They are open tanks. They'll be covered eventually. We haven't had water freezing in there.
No, I haven't seen it freezing in there. Although last week it might have.
I mean,
Pretty cold.
concrete nice,
But it's
not a good
Those
combination.
structures are pretty hefty, though. You're talking,
Yeah,
you
a
know,
lot of
14,
rebar.
18-inch
I get it.
walls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just would hate to have any kind of cracks that you have to go back and repair.
And they're, plus they're backfilled now, so they've got the earths, the forces of the earth keeping that tank intact. But I'll make sure our team is checking out for that.
Just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
We also have the drains in. If it rains, we can run the drains right out to and collect it. And, you know, that piping you saw in was the drain piping for those structures.
So, but there's people on site that
Oh, yeah.
would see if something was collecting, and if it was, get ahead of it.
Yes.
All right. I'm good.
Good. Anybody else?
Good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Discussion approval discussion approval of license agreement between the town of Mashpee and N-Star Electric Company doing business as Eversource Energy at 380 Ashes Path. So, do we have anyone here from?
What we've got here is that we have been trying for, I don't, it seems like forever, to get electricity to the plant or get them to allow for the easement. We currently have an easement on Ashes Path, but they won't recognize it because we're going underground and the one we have is for above ground.
Oh, is this for the plant?
Yes. So what we have is a license here to get your approval for so that Mike and the rest can be very happy. And also, we'll have one on the town meeting warrant for a permanent easement. But this is a license to get us started and get us going.
Motion to approve license agreement between the town of Mashpee and N-Star Electric Company, DBA Eversource Energy at 380 Ashes Path, as recommended.
Second that.
All right, first and second. Is that good, Mr. Collins? The way it's worded?
Oh, yes.
It's not to authorize you to...
Do you
Okay.
want the specific UG numbers and all that?
I don't think that's necessary. No, sir.
As stated.
As stated.
Spirit and the intent is known.
Okay.
All right, we have a first and we have a second. Any discussion? Not hearing it? Michaela?
Yes.
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 David?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Thank you.
That's all three-phase? That's all.
Discussion and approval of the appointment of alternate member of Cape Cod Municipal Health Group, Benefits Administrator Robin Callahan,
Yes.
and replaces Tracy Scalia.
Mr. Chair, this is a formality. We had a change in personnel at HR. Tracy is now the Assistant HR Director and Payroll Administrator, and Robin is the Benefits Administrator. So as a result of the change in the responsibilities and the roles, we're just asking that the board designate her as the alternate member respectfully. Thank you.
Okay,
So
so,
moved.
Second.
all right, I have a motion, I have a second. Any other discussion? Not hearing? David?
Yes.
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 And I'm a yes. All right, certification of hiring process of police officer Hugh Ahern.
I can attest that all of the policies and procedures of the town were followed, and respectfully request that the board certify the process. The appointing authority also attests that this individual was the person selected after the selection process, and also the HR director has attested to this as well.
A motion to approve certification of the hiring
I'll
process.
second that motion.
I have first and second. Any discussion? Not hearing any. Mr. Whedon?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
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 And I'm a yes. Discussion and approval of the Select Board Policy 082 flag policy. Is this fun?
If you want, Mr. Chair.
Absolutely, please.
So this is a result of a request that came to the town of Sandwich. And I believe the request was to fly a pro-life flag. Yes. And it was brought to my attention, and as a direct result, without getting into any politics or positions, which I want to stay completely clear from, I really feel that this is necessary for the board to establish a policy so that we, your staff, are not hit with these requests. Essentially, what this does is it determines what flags will be flown and how they will be flown. And obviously, if at half-staff, it will be as a direct result of the President of the United States or the Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, or if it was a local individual, it could be the board. If there was no select board meeting and you wanted it to be at half-staff immediately, you empower me to consult with the chair in order to make that determination. Shy of that, I think the content of the policy speaks for itself. So we would not be getting into any expression of any position. We would just simply be flying the flags that are designated, and the veterans flag would be flown at the park across the street.
Yep. So I mean, it's clearly stated the 5 approved flags: the official flag of the United States of America, official flag Commonwealth of Massachusetts, official flag of Town of Mashpee, Mashpee Wampanoag Tribe, and the official MIA POW flag. So I just, for the public, those are the 5 recognized flags.
And no other flag shall be allowed to be flown
No.
on town-owned
It's pretty
flag.
clear, like you said, this
Yeah,
is,
no other flags.
I have no questions with this.
And also, did consult with town council as a result of the action that was taken over in Sandwich. And also, there's a provision in here that was kind of incorporated from the town of Foxborough. And also, I would point out that this was a direct result of a decision that went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. It was actually, ironically, a City of Boston case. And that's what I'm trying to avoid. Not to say that we've been hit with any requests, but if I don't have a policy that is established by the board, we could get hit with that request, and it may be difficult to deny them without a policy. So this is what you would be doing tonight, is establishing it.
A motion to,
So I have a concern. So on page 1, section 3, the procedures, under number 5, the official MIA POW flag may be flown with prior approval of the select board and town manager on town-owned flagpole at Veterans Park. It lists the 1 through 4, as you previously stated, Chair Cotton. But then when it goes on to section 5 under standards, Subsection A, federal, state, and local flags. It goes on to say that outdoor flags may be flown on town-owned property, provided that such flags are flown in the following order of precedent. First, the United States flag. Second, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts flag. Third, the town flag. And fourth, the POWMIA flag. Flagpoles that can accommodate the Mashpee Wampanoag flag shall be flown. That, from my understanding, most of the town facilities have 3 poles currently. I think there's only one out front of here, right, with the United States flag. But, so on the front page, it leads us to believe that, you know, only, this is essentially only going to affect the Veterans Park, where that, you know, you would be able to fly the MAPOW, but I think there's only 3 poles over there now, so, you know, which one gets bumped? You know, that's kind of my concern, is that we've made a conscious effort to post the Mashpee Wampanoag flag in the various areas at the schools and things like that, and now we're going to get this policy, I'm considering bumping the Mashpee Wampanoag flag, and that raises concern.
Well, what the spirit and the intent of the draft, if I may, is the POWMIA flag would be flown over here, and that's it. Then, in addition, what would be flown is the Wampanoag flag at a pole that we have for it. But if there's a spot where we don't have a pole, it's difficult to fly a flag without the pole.
So that's where I'm a bit concerned, because, I mean, if there's 3 over there now, one's getting bumped and we're adding a flag?
No, it would be the U.S. flag, the Commonwealth flag, and the POW flag across the street.
But in areas where you only have 3 poles and you're hanging 4 flags, are there 2 flags on one pole?
But
I don't know that it
sometimes there are multiple flags on one pole.
Right, but I don't know where that, I don't see where that's kind of clearly specified.
So the intent is, if there's 3 poles, the Wampanoag flag would be one of them. If there aren't 3 poles, then we can't fly it. That's the intent.
Right, yeah, I'd feel more comfortable if it was clearly kind of addressed on how that's going to affect, you know, where we see the flag, the tribal flag now. If you know, I vote on something and we don't see the flag's removed, then I'm going to take all the heat.
No.
This is only to prevent, this, the intent of this, the way I see it is, as we have it now, this prevents other requests from coming in to say, I want to fly my flag. If we don't have something in place, that's going to prevent.
There's no
opens the door.
intent to remove any flag that you have. It's just to identify that these would be the only flags. And then, obviously, if you had more than one flag on one pole, such as the U.S. flag and the Commonwealth flag, the U.S. flag flies first, and then the Commonwealth flag flies second. If we had 3 poles, what I'm telling you is the Wampanoag flag would be on one of them. If we only have 1 pole and not 2 or 3, then we can't fly one where we don't have a pole. And we would want that flag to be on its own pole.
But this doesn't affect policy of where we have flags
Our
held
flags.
flying now. This doesn't change anything of the policy of where we hold them now. It just
No.
prevents.
Clarifies, that's what I was.
And
No, I appreciate the intent of what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
I'm just concerned with interpretation and how the application is done and any unanticipated effects of the
Yeah.
policy.
And on the POWMIA flag, I just want to be clear, that would only fly across the street.
Right. And that's the only one that actually has the, you know,
Yeah.
prior approval and the whole thing. The other 4 flags, including the Wampanoag tribe flag, is
In our.
you're in the group of 4. The, you know, the MIA POW is the only one that is an exception. It could be added, and it's to the Memorial Park. That's it.
If you
And it-
would like, I can try to clarify the language, but that is
Can
the
I-
spirit. of
I
it.
Can I make a suggestion, though? You know, David, if you're okay with it, I would like to have the board consider adopting this flag policy tonight. And if you want to come up with, amendment to it or a change to be considered, we could consider that at a later date, but at least this, I think, would protect us from what could happen. But if you want to read on it and consider some type of, amendment to it, we could take that up at any future meeting. Would you be okay with that?
I'm fine with, you understand my concern, right?
I do, and I can tell you unequivocally, there's no intent to take down any flag that's currently flying. It's just, if we had a request from an individual, a group that came in and said, well, I want to fly this flag, we got a policy that's been established by the select board, and we can't do it.
Which I'm fully supportive of.
Right now, they
That's what I'm
can, they
looking
can do
for.
it.
That is the only intent.
Well, I would feel more comfortable if town manager's office, you kind of wordsmithed it just to address the concerns.
I'll
and kind of
wordsmith
clarify
it, but can you just give me something tonight?
Could I just make a suggestion? If, or a question, if that last sentence under 1 said, "The Mashpee Wampanoag flag shall be flown as it is currently," and with a date, or, because that last sentence is confusing. The Mashpee Wampanoag flag will continue to be flown as it is currently.
Customarily,
Yeah, that would actually, because this.
Where are you, McHugh?
It's the very last
Last
sentence on
page.
1, which says, "Flagpoles that can accommodate the Mashpee Wampanoag flag shall be flown." It's, I think it's a confusing sentence. So if we said, "The Mashpee Wampanoag flag shall be flown as it has been customarily."
customary locations.
Yeah. Just, I think it would clarify
again,
and actually make that into a sentence.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where you're talking.
I'm on page 2,
Under
under standards, A1, the very last sentence. Right now, it says that last sentence, under 1, says flagpoles that can accommodate the Mashpee Wampanoag flag shall be flown. Just to say the Mashpee Wampanoag flag will be flown as it is customarily.
That's the
As it is
sentence I have
currently.
issue with, 'cause
This
it
is what
says
I would,
that it can accommodate the Wampanoag flag, then it sounds like a maybe, if at
it's
best.
only if the pole exists. That's what I'm
That's what
meant.
that meant.
So what I would say is, how about this? Flagpoles that can, flagpoles that exist to carry the Mashpee Wampanoag flag shall be flown.
Right.
Does that make you any more comfortable?
How about flagpoles will continue to accommodate?
Continue.
How about continue to accommodate?
Continue to accommodate.
Yes.
That I feel better with.
All right, so
want
flagpoles
you
will
to feel
continue
good.
to
Pretty
accommodate
straightforward.
the Mashpee Wampanoag flag,
Yes.
Yeah.
and just leave, not, forget the shall be flown.
And take
not
out the that
confusing,
can.
straight
It's
up.
just flagpoles will continue to accommodate the Mashpee
Yes.
Wampanoag flag.
Yeah.
That's
That I like.
clearer. That's much clearer.
Good with that?
That I like.
So can I have a motion?
One last thing.
Yes.
Next section down, subsection B of standards. I think where there is a tribal flag, including as one of the authorized people to be the chairman or chief. There may be instances where
No problem with that.
the chief or chairman feels appropriate, like a passing of a chief or something.
The only thing is, I don't like it to be a gray area, so we got to designate who that person is going to be. I don't care if it's the chair or the
Chairman's
chief.
fine.
Chair
Chairman's fine, yeah.
of the tribe.
Yeah.
chair or designee?
That sounds good.
That works.
Yep,
Yeah.
If they call saying that they're calling for the chair,
yes.
we're adding a 5, chair or designee.
Of the Wampanoag Tribal Council, Mashpee Wampanoag Tribal Council.
Okay, motion to.
Hold on, let me just get this down. Kathy, do you have all that?
Where there is a tribal flag, the tribal chair or a designee.
Shall be authorized to notify the town.
A motion to approve the Select Board Policy Number 8082, Flag Policy with amendments.
Second.
Okay, first and second. Any other discussion? David?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Yes.
Kayla?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. All right, thank you. Public comments. Susan, come on up.
Hello and good evening, and thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. Susan Dangle, 762 Katuitt Road. As you know, I like to come and see you every January and throughout the year, but I was just recently at the Sewer Commission, and Mr. Lyons asked me why I was there to speak, and I said, I guess my hopes for 2024. So here I am for those hopes for you. And tonight's meeting gave us a lot of very key information. But I want to make sure that you know, as the president of Save Mashpee Wakeby Pond Alliance, that we are here to offer our support to the town to educate residents about the water problem that we have. And after looking at 2 maps this week, the one that was shown tonight with the stormwater, I can't help but notice that Mashpee, Wakeby, Ashumet, and Santuit are in bright red. And on the Mashpee, or the APCC State of the Waters report this week, Mashpee, Wakeby, Ashumet Pond, and Santuit Pond are bright red. And we have a lot of good news that I heard tonight. I heard about the stormwater, or Catherine mentioned the work going on with the Mashpee Wakeby boat ramp. We've received an amazing grant from the Coastal Zone Management Group, and they're providing 100% of the design and permitting of a new boat ramp for Mashpee Wakeby. They expect to have that going to permitting, I think, sometime in March and April. We're going to need people from the town to be present and involved in that process. That not only includes Catherine, but also people from DNR and Conservation, I understand. So I'm asking for your help in making sure that that happens. We're also really thrilled that the Mashpee Wakeby Pond Diagnostic Study that was approved 2 years ago is come to completion. And Mr. Ed Eichner, who provides updates to you on the estuary project, is also slated to come to see you. I'd like to get that slated on your agenda as soon as possible, as soon as it's ready, so that we can get that word out with a management plan for how we can really make an impact on Mashpee Wakeby. And then it goes back to the sewer. I mean, it's disappointing tonight to see about the delay, but at the same time, I know that the all of the work that you all did to get the SRF fund application in, I understand from Sandy Tripp that we've been selected to move forward, and that means that we have to go forward to Maytown meeting to ask for the town to vote to approve that loan. Education on that needs to start now. And I'm going to wrap up with just a thing that tonight I heard a lot about bylaws and and penalizing people for putting things in storm drains or whatever. I think we need to really start to incentivize them rather than penalize them. I know that the laws are important, and it's important to let them know about the laws, but give folks a chance to understand what it really means if their water is going into their storm drain or down their driveway. I don't think a lot of people understand that. So the last part is about education and how we get it out. Catherine has a really slick website, and I know the sewer commissions work tirelessly to update theirs, but the back end of those websites do not work. I went to Catherine's website today after looking at the agenda. A lot of those links sound great, but you click it, there's nothing there. The same is true of the all the work that the folks did on the sewer commission. Am I up next on the sewer commission? What's on phase 2? It's the plan from 2015. So it's those kinds of things that we need to work together on, and whether it's citizens coming to you, or if we need somebody to really coordinate a web effort that would be a little bit more user-friendly, that would be terrific. Thank you for hearing me. Those are my wishes for 2024, at least for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Thanks.
All right. Communications and correspondence? Not, new business. Interviews and discussion of the possible approval of appointments to the following. Council on Aging, Elizabeth Kugel, expires June 30th, 2026. Is Elizabeth, would you like to come up real quick? Please. Okay, the red one, so.
Good evening.
Sorry for the wait. Thank you for coming in, and if you might just give us a quick introduction of who you are and why you're interested in the position.
My name is Elizabeth Kugel. I've been working with the elderly since 2008 as a recreation director. I began my career without, let's see, I would say, without no clue where I would end up in my life. And today I'm here with great hopes to assist the council in enhance the lives of our elderly community, which is shifting. I was telling to the council when I interviewed with them that when I started in 2008, I would check in my little old ladies at 80 years old, 85. Now I am checking in the baby boomers. It's like gentlemen and women about my age or younger than I am. We'll talk about like 50 years old already checking in the nursing homes. And because of the shift, I felt like getting engaged in the council on aging would be one of the ways to support the community. Because I'm coming from a lot, I have lots of training, especially government training. At this point, they're really encouraging and training us in how to deal with this new generation that is checking in on the rehab centers, on the Alzheimer's units, the memory care units. So that's why I decided to, and I was encouraged by him to be part of the community in Mashpee.
That's great.
That's good.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anybody have any questions?
It says that you are currently full-time working.
Oh, yes, and I intend to work until I'm 80 years old, or more than that. As long as I'm alive, I'm going to continue to work with the elderly.
And you'll be able to adjust your schedule to,
I will support the council, yes.
Good.
I have my ways.
okay.
Yes. So, yes. I'll make sure that I'll do as needed to support the community.
Motion to approve the appointment of Elizabeth Kugel.
Second.
Term expiring June 30th, 2026.
Thank you. I have a
Second.
first and I have a second. Any other discussion? Not hearing any? David?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes. Thank you.
Caleb?
Thank you for being willing
And
to
I'm a yes.
volunteer. Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Unanimous. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Could you turn on the conference call, because there's a candidate, one of the three for CPC, that'll be calling in. Do you know where it is up there?
Is it-
It's on that screen.
Yeah, I gotta.
It's up above on the screen.
Of course, well, that's not speaking, it's not labeled that, the way it used to be. Oh, there we go. Is someone on the line?
Okay. Put the mic to the
Yeah.
speaker.
We're just testing the mic out, can you speak again?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep,
Hello?
all right, perfect. Thank you. All right, let me just check here. Okay, so Community Preservation Committee, we have 3 candidates, so we have,
No, that was.
How many seats we have, two?
we have 3 candidates,
Two
2
seats.
seats open. And is this Ed on the phone?
Yes.
Okay. So Ed's on the phone. Is Judith McDougal? Judith is here. Hi, Judy. And Karen Yetra? Okay, and, all right, so 2 candidates are here, one's on the phone. All right, so the board actually has, if everyone's okay with this, what we'll do is we'll interview each candidate. I'd ask if we have everyone has a form in front of them with the questions. We're just trying to keep all the questions, the same questions of each candidate. And then at the end of the questions from us, what I'll ask is if each candidate wants to give like, their closing summary or closing statement, and then we'll move to the next candidate, if that's okay.
Extra pen.
So again, when we're done, I'd ask for your closing statement, and that's, you can give your brief closing statement, and then we'll go to the next candidate. So I'll just take them in the order. Judith McDougal.
Normally, it's wonderful to be first, but this is my second time doing this at first, at the end of a workday. So I'm actually Judy. Judith is what my father calls me when I'm in trouble, so it's Judy. So
All right, so what we'll do is, David, if you want to start us off with,
One of your questions?
Start off with the first. There are many town committees with vacancies. Could you talk about why you would like to serve on the Community Preservation Committee?
I liked that it had an overarching mission. It kind of touches upon every aspect of what's important to keeping a town cohesive and a place where my kids wanted to move back to and my grandchildren will grow up. So that's
okay. Carol, you
What
want to?
experiences do you believe have prepared you for the role of Community Preservation Committee member?
So I currently work for a school system, a regional school district. I'm executive assistant to the superintendent. So budgets, planning, we built buildings, school buildings. My husband's a land surveyor, so I've gotten a lot through osmosis. So most of the presentations I shockingly understood, so which is helpful. So all of that, I live in proximity to Santuit Pond, so I've paid close attention to kind of what's going on in the town. And so, yeah, I think coupled with my work experience and my knowledge of survey and all of that, I think I can bring some perspective.
Thank you.
So, welcome.
I'll jump over to Michaela.
Okay,
Mine?
thank you. Judy, the CPC meets monthly on Thursday at 6:30. Members follow and report on the progress of funded projects, review new applications in the spring and fall. Could you talk about how you'd be able to fulfill these roles?
So first of all, the Thursday piece works because I still do attend evening meetings in my role at Bridgewater Rainham. But just the review of what's presented and bringing a fresh perspective to what I feel is important to the town in different areas. I don't know if I fully explained that because I'm a little fried.
And there's several parts of the question, so let me
Yes.
just, the middle was, members of the CPC committee follow certain projects and report on the progress of those projects. They also review new applications. And could you talk about the way you would be able to fill those roles?
Sure, and thank you for repeating it. A huge part of what I do is I review the law, I review plans and permitting. My job to the superintendent and the school committee is to make sure that things come in timely, that there's documents. So I think having that lens of always adhering to timelines and so forth would make it kind of seamless for me to make sure that we're not only approving things that were good for the town, but within compliance with laws. So.
Thank you.
I have number 4, I'm going to read it to you. The CPC funds projects in 3 major areas to acquire and protect open space preserve areas, particularly interest you and why?
Again, all of their projects kind of dovetail into one another, from affordable housing to making sure that there is open space for people to enjoy. All of it is so cohesive. We want to protect the town that we live in. So I don't have one particular project that I would say was above the rest. I would like to see all of them kind of complement each other. So, again,
Makes sense.
end of the day, I hope I understood the question correctly.
No, there's a, when I look at it and I think of, what your position would allow you to do, and I know you're a team, so you have to work together.
Yes.
I don't know how you would blend with the other members. I mean, are your strongest suit, what would that be to this town?
So I think I would bring a skill set, but not to the degree, there would be so much to learn. A lot of the people that sit on the committee have been doing this for some time. So I hope I would complement them by a bit of a fresh perspective, but sitting back and learning from their
I like
broad
that.
experience.
Good answer, thank you.
So.
All right, I'll take the last question. Is there anything that you would like to share about other qualities you bring or experience that you have had that we have not asked about?
Sure. I've lived on Cape Cod since 1989, in Mashpee for 24 years now, and there's the town itself has done very well by my family, by welcoming, and so I think just being part of the community for such a long period of time and watching the town develop, I think that also kind of brings a new perspective. So.
If you don't mind, just, this is closing statement if you want, just,
Again, my interest is to kind of give back to a town that I feel has given so much to my family. I love what's been done. To speak to the wastewater, the runoff, road runoff, my husband identified it, a problem on our street, called DPW, and within 2 weeks, we now have a berm. And the berm directs it into the drainage system. So the response is immediate in this town, and that's a lot to be thankful for. So my children either live here or have moved back, have returned as adults, and my grandchildren are growing up in this town. So I would like to know that I did my part to preserve this community as it is.
Great.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judy.
So thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. So again, I'm taking them in the order of the sheet. So, Ed, can you hear me? Can you hear us fine?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, absolutely. So if you don't mind, what we're gonna do is, we're gonna do the same thing with the same 5 questions. And David, if you don't mind, I'll go back to you.
Sure. Hello, Ed. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your interest in joining the Community Preservation Committee. There are many town committees with vacancies. Could you talk about why you would like to serve on the Community Preservation Committee?
Okay, I lived in the area for a long time, full-time about 20 years. And I'm getting echo. I guess I can't help that, huh? In any case, I've become very interested in affordable housing and in environmental issues, and I've served on the Affordable Housing Committee in Falmouth, actually, when I lived there for a while. And basically in those areas, and of course in open space and in historic preservation as well, I think a lot of the opportunities to do things come down to funding issues. And I think the CPC has a major opportunity to allocate funds from the CPA fund to help promote solutions to these areas. So that's why I'm interested in the CPC.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Tom's gonna give you the next question. Just make sure you're talking to the mic.
All right, can you hear me well?
I can hear you.
Okay, good enough. What experience do you believe have best prepared you for the role of Community Preservation Committee member?
Well, I guess as I said, I've served on the Affordable Housing Committee in Falmouth for a number of years. So I've been involved in the town, in town activities in affordable housing. I also was part of an environmental organization called the Falmouth Water Stewards. And so I'm pretty familiar with some of the environmental issues that are going on, and also the need for open space to support those issues. So that's kind of where I'm coming from.
Well,
Okay.
so let me just ask you this then. So normally you come with when the project is brought together, they normally have the engineers and all of those individuals. I'm thinking what other than something of the wastewater or the drainage or things of that nature, have you built buildings or participated in building construction in the past?
I actually did do some, was a prime contractor on my own house back in 1978, so I've had some experience in the residential building. And my work is an appraiser, which is what I do on my professional side. I'm very familiar with, building issues. I get involved with building projects in that realm as well.
Very good. Good answer. Thank you.
All right, number 3 is from Selectwoman Sherman.
Hi, Ed. The CPC meets monthly on Thursdays at 6:30. Members follow and report on the progress of funded projects and review new applications in the spring and the fall. Can you talk about how you would be able to fulfill those roles?
Yes, I do work as an appraiser, but I really only do a little bit of work, and in fact, the work has been extremely, the workload has been extremely low in the last year, so I'm basically retired. I have time to devote to this activity. Other than being away right now, I'm generally home for most of the year in Mashpee. And I have a lot of experience with, reading documents, looking at project plans, and also writing things. So I think I would be in a good position to evaluate proposals.
Okay, thank you.
Kayla?
Thank you. Hi, Ted. This is Michaela. The CPC funds projects in 3 major areas. The first is acquiring and protecting open space. The second is preserving historic buildings and landscapes. And the third is creating and maintaining affordable housing. Which of these areas particularly interests you and why?
Well, I really feel all these areas are important, but as I said, I have a lot of past involvement in affordable housing. And I think when it comes down to that prioritization, I see the biggest unmet need in our communities on the Cape is in the area of lack of affordable housing, workforce housing. I think all these things are important to make the community what we want it to be, but in order for creating, establishing and maintaining a community with the kind of people we want, we really need to have a broad base of available housing, and I think that's kind of my highest priority.
Thank you.
All right, the next question, this is from me. The 5th question, is there anything that you would like to share about other qualities you bring or experiences that you have had that we have not asked about?
Well, I think one thing that I would highlight is that I have worked quite extensively on town committees, so I'm very familiar with the operation of committees. I've been chairman of several committees, and so I'd be very comfortable working in the committee environment, and I think I can contribute both in terms of the work that needs to get done outside of meetings and also in meetings as well. So that's what I can say.
Okay, thank you. And to the end, as far as a closing statement, if there's anything you'd like to say.
Well, I guess I would highlight again what I've been saying. I think all these areas are very important, and I think the importance to be on the CPC to me is be able to help allocate the resources that the CPC brings to bear to try to put forth some meaningful solutions to these issues.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Next up, Karen Yetra.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
If you want to start, we're going to stick with the same order that as we did that one, Dave? Do you
Sure.
mind?
Yep, that's fine.
Start us off.
How you doing, Karen? Thank you
Good.
for your willingness to participate and serve on the Community Preservation Committee and joining us here tonight. There are many town committees with vacancies. Could you talk about why you would like to serve on the Community Preservation Committee?
Well, I can't think of anything different than the other 2 people said, but because it's the same. It's 3 areas of our town that need attention, help. They're extremely important and very intertwined. I heard about it through, I volunteer for Habitat for Humanity, and when the email came through, they're looking for somebody that's interested in affordable housing, conservation, historic preservation. I was like, this is awesome. I'd love to contribute in any way I could.
Okay.
Thank you.
Tom, if you're taking number two.
Thanks for being here tonight, I appreciate it. What experiences do you believe have best prepared you for the role of Community Preservation Committee member?
I'm a serial volunteer. My life has really been in two sections. I was an at-home mom for a long time in Medfield, Mass. And when I was at home, I volunteered a lot. I volunteered with the PTA, did fundraising, worked on many override campaigns, so I know how the whole warrant town meeting system works. And sat on the foundation for the educational foundation in Medfield. Then I started working, and I started working for a national database consulting firm, and we had offices in 4 of the major cities in the US, and I wound up managing the business. And in doing that, I had to learn quickly about the businesses of our clients, which were varied, from Harvard to a nursery school. It could be anything and anybody. So the skill set that I think that I got from both of those areas is listening and analyzing and trying to be as equitable as possible.
Good, thank you.
And Carol?
What experience, the CPC meets monthly, Thursdays at 6:30. Members follow and report on the progress of funding projects and review new applications in the spring and fall. Can you talk about how you'd be able to fill these roles?
I am retired, so my days are mine, and they're not very full. So I would love to have something that's substantive and important to take my time and to be able to contribute.
And we thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Michaela?
Hi, Karen. Thanks for being here to interview. The CPC funds projects in 3 major areas. The first is acquiring and protecting open space. The second is preserving historic buildings and landscapes. And third, creating and maintaining affordable housing. Which of these areas particularly interests you and why?
Like the others, affordable housing is such an issue that does, hit a spot for sure. But the other 2 areas are extremely important as well, and I'd be thrilled to work on any of those issues.
Thank you.
Thank you. And my last question is there anything that you would like to share about other qualities you bring or experiences you have had that we have not asked about tonight?
I can't think of anything other than what I mentioned before. I'd like to solve problems, and I really like to solve problems that help people, whether it was their business or when my kids were in school to help the school system. I get a lot of satisfaction out of that. And probably more than anything else, I'm really curious. So it would be fun to learn about so much about this great town.
Great, thank you. And closing statement, anything you'd like to say?
I think I did it.
All right.
You guys need to go home.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you for what you guys do, too. Appreciate it.
So, real quick, Michaela, I want to thank you for preparing the questions so we could stay on task, and so that's much appreciated. So what I'd like to do is, I don't know if we want to take if someone wants to consider a motion for one candidate and then maybe have someone else. I will say it's unfortunate, to tell you the truth, that we have 3 strong, and I'm not joking, this is very, very difficult on us. 3 great candidates. I wish we could actually add someone to the committee, and if that was that easy, that would be an easier thing to do than to But I will say, I will ask you, just don't be, if you're the odd person out, don't be disappointed. Positions open up. There's other committees that are in desperate need of
People.
your expertise. I mean, there's plenty of other committees that have openings that could use your experience. So I wholeheartedly say, please, don't be offended and hurt, because this puts us in a very tough position.
I
So,
think, I'd like to add to that. I think that the whole board feels that way. I think they did a great job, very well.
This is the second
Thank you
time
for
I've
showing
heard
up.
the 3 candidates interviewed, and any of these candidates would be outstanding. So
yeah.
it's difficult.
And what I would ask is, if you are not appointed to the CPC tonight, please consider, looking for, if there's another opening, because that stuff always opens up. If not, look at other committee meetings, other groups that you can join, because, like I said, there are openings. So,
I'll make a motion to start to vote. I mean, I'll start with our first candidate. I make a motion for Judith McDonald to go forward. Do I have a second?
so it's a motion to approve
To approve Judith.
Judith McDougal to the CPC. So that's a motion, first motion.
For which one?
For the first candidate, Judith McDougal.
First, was he number one?
Yes.
She was, first one.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Yep.
So I have a motion and a second to approve Judith McDougal. Any discussion? Not hearing any?
Like you said, they're all good candidates.
Yeah, I know.
It's-
We're all excellent
it's-
It is tough.
I know, and if you speak anything, it's it's a no-win situation.
Can we add another board member?
I told you, I know.
Alternate?
So, I start the vote with David.
Yes.
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 And I'm a yes.
Congratulations, Judith.
Congratulations.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Ted Schul, based on his experience with affordable housing, chairing different departments, his environmental experience, and being involved with the Board of Health and appraising.
I'll second that motion. It was timing was good on that.
Okay, and I'm assuming there's going to be no discussion on that one either. Okay. David,
Yes.
Carol,
No.
Yes.
Yes.
you know what?
Go yes.
I'm a yes.
I only said no because I thought his experience was so good for affordable housing.
Yeah, and that's,
It just looks so good, and we need people.
and it's
And that
valid
was
point.
the reason why I said.
I was sitting here,
Yeah.
I'm like, can we put these people on another committee?
I know.
Because, so,
Karen, we'll have another committee for you.
so again,
Reaching out to Karen.
So, Ed, I don't know if you can hear us, but congratulations. Huh?
3-2.
It was 4-1.
4-1.
Ed?
Ask him again.
Ted?
Ted? Ed? Yeah,
Ted.
he can hear something.
Ted, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Congratulations. You were just appointed to the CPC. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you've just been appointed.
And
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Karen,
Karen?
seriously,
yes.
Thank you.
thank you.
We
Thank
have a
you for
lot of
making-
committees that could,
Thank you for making it easy on us, too.
thank you.
And please do apply to another committee. We
Yes.
would
Yes.
love to
Yes,
work
don't
with
go
you.
away.
We would
Yes.
all love to work with you.
Come back here.
We're not going to let you get out the door.
That's it. All right, so he's all set, right?
Yep.
Ted, we'll let you go. Have a good night. Yeah. All right. Discussion approval of the following resignation, Capital Improvement Program Committee, Edmund Sarno, Ed Sarno, member at large, term expires June 30th, 2024.
A motion to accept his resignation with regret, and also a letter, please.
I'll second that.
I have a first and second, any discussion? Michaela?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, absolutely. And I didn't miss anything, right? Additional topics, liaison reports?
I have reports.
Okay.
This is less a liaison, and just, I want to share that I was at the Select Board meeting at the MMA, and they introduced a new handbook, which is fully online, completely updated, and much more thorough than anything I've seen. So I just want people to be aware of that. It can be accessed through your membership page, and again, it's just been fully updated. They finished updating it the day before the conference. With regard to liaison reports, the IMA work continues. With regard to Quoit, Town Council for each of the participating towns is currently reviewing final edits to the IMA. I assume we'll have that very soon. The last meeting was on January 8th, and I know it went to Town Councils directly after that. And the purpose is just to take a final read to see if everything's, copacetic. The expressed intent of the Quoit Working Group is to submit a joint watershed plan, which is really good news. The Papaneset IMA Working Group also continues to meet. We last met on January 8th. At the last meeting, we discussed exploring a joint effort to continue to sewer Shoestring Bay that would benefit both Mashpee and Barnstable. So that work goes on.
Thank you. Water quality updates.
I have one. I know that the management group and executive membership of the Cape and Islands Water Protection Fund is still working diligently to secure the 25% forgiveness, and they seem hopeful that that will come to fruition.
Thank you, Michaela. Town manager updates.
Yes, Mr. Chair, just want to make the board aware that South Cape Beach has received extensive damage as a result of the last couple storms, and we are definitely going to be visiting the Finance Committee for the purposes of their reserve fund, because we cannot cover the beach renourishment that's been required. So we are restored at this point, and there is access to the beach, but we got hit pretty hard in the last couple storms. So I just want to make you aware of that. Secondly, may need, with the board's permission, a special select board meeting on Monday, February 26th. We would like it to be possibly at 6, and it's for one item and one item only. It's to discuss and possibly award the Coombs School HVAC contract. It's all a matter of timing, and it's the window that really gives us a little bit of challenge, and we may need you to meet, if it's possible, on the 26th,
And this is February 26th?
February.
So do we have to get to put?
I'm just giving you the notice.
Heads
If
up.
you could just check your calendars, and if that doesn't work, then we're going to have to try to work something else out, because, again, we have a very short window there. Last but certainly not least, I want to give a shout out. There was a stained glass rendering of the Mashpee Town Seal that was created by Mashpee resident Meredith Harris. And the project received support from the Mashpee Cultural Council, and it was brought over to the Mashpee Library for residents and visitors of all ages to enjoy and to view. And the proposal was approved by the Mashpee Library Board of Trustees. And I also want to give a shout out to our own moderator, John Miller, who is obviously the owner of John Miller Picture Framer and Gallery, which is in Mashpee. He not only provided guidance on the framing, but he donated the memorial plaques to be installed under the town seal. So that was a class act. I don't know what the retail value is, but I believe it's 100 or more. And he did that out of the goodness of his heart, and he should be publicly recognized for it.
Mr. Miller.
So the next time you see him, maybe say thank you. And also, I want to give, again, a shout out to Meredith, because if you haven't seen it, you may want to stop by and take a look.
That's great.
Beautiful. Yeah,
Well done,
it
Meredith.
is
I'm sure it's
beautiful.
great.
That's it.
Awesome. Anything else? If not, motion to adjourn? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
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 I assume there's no discussion on that one.